Hello everyone, welcome to GoTarryn TV. I'm Taryn, the traveling trainer of GoTarryn Personal Training here in the greater Atlanta area, about to welcome for the very first time the Director of Wellness from Canterbury Quarter, also here in Atlanta, Georgia, Mr. Andrew Wiltz. Now, before we bring Andrew on, I'd like to ask everyone out there if you'd please be so kind as to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and while you're listening to today's podcast show, I'd encourage you to like it, leave us a comment, and share this video with all of your friends and family. Now, as I just mentioned, Andrew Wiltz is the Director of Wellness from Canterbury Quarter. I'm going to ask him about where he went to school, how he got into wellness, how it's like being a new daddy, and all the great things he's doing at Canterbury Quarter. Of course, one of the locations that you can find yours truly, Taryn the Traveling Trainer. It is a wonderful place, and I cannot wait to ask him and see his perspective on how Canterbury Quarter is, how it's growing, and the future of all of the wonderful programming that's to be expected with that wonderful place. So when we come back, we will have Mr. Andrew Wiltz on GoTarryn TV for the very first time. And remember, with GoTarryn Personal Training, it's your time, it's your investment, it's your life. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everybody, and as you can see side by side, we have for the very first time here on GoTarryn TV, the Director of Wellness at Canterbury Quarter in Atlanta, Georgia, Mr. Andrew Wiltz. Andrew, how are you doing out there today?
Good, Taryn, thank you. I appreciate you inviting me on to your show.
My pleasure. Thanks for coming on here. I appreciate you being here, and you know, I've told you also I was very grateful for you coming out to speak to the students at Georgia State University last week. That was really cool as well. So thank you for all the time you're giving us. So
I really enjoyed that. That was a great experience.
Great. Well, you know, we definitely want to have you back, and so I'll be definitely calling you up in the summer semester to ask you to come back and do another one. With your time to come out and talk to them. And, you know, we'll definitely talk about that. And I want to ask you about Canterbury Quarter. But I guess right off the bat, Andrew, since this is the first time you and I are officially having a, you know, face-to-face, one-on-one here, I guess to get to know you better, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how you got to Atlanta, and most importantly, of course, how it is being a new father?
Wow. Well, yeah, that's certainly a big thing in my life right now. I actually came from New Orleans. I finished school there and started a wellness program at a community similar to what I'm doing here in Atlanta. Back after graduating in 2000. I knew some people here in Atlanta, and I would come to visit, and just really enjoyed the feel here. Looked at an opportunity to grow and do some other things with the model I established in New Orleans. And so living there my whole life, I thought it'd be adventurous, and I had that adventurous side to move to Atlanta and continue on with my career here and starting other programs, other wellness programs. So that's what led me to Atlanta in 2003. And, you know, since then, a lot's happened, and I've got married, and yeah, I have a newborn, and he's a great joy. He's a beautiful boy, and so life is good.
Excellent. Yeah, so a lot happened. Obviously, you know, just must have been a whirlwind with the change this year and everything. And of course, you and I got to connect last year, and so you know, we're getting to work together, obviously, with a couple of the folks at Canterbury. And so, you know, before, again, we get to Canterbury, focusing on what brought you into, I guess, wellness and gerontology, and did you always see your career path headed in that direction? And about school, too, like with going to school, and if you could tell us about that as well.
Yeah, that's great. That's a good question. When I was in New Orleans at the University of New Orleans, is the school I went to, I was pre-med. And was going in that direction, and I loved health and fitness. I played sports in high school. I was quite big. I was actually an offensive lineman.
Oh, okay, wow.
And was carrying a good amount of weight, and I lost a lot of weight and got really more into fitness. And I had this real great interest and passion for it. And at the University of New Orleans, I took an elective. It was called Exercise Science for Older Adults. It was just something that I was drawn by that. I had older parents, and just that I wanted to take this class. And the very first day, the professor, Dr. Lofton, I'll never forget, should give a graph of the demographics of the aging population in our country, and how many millions of Americans we're going to have over the age of 65. And basically that he was a visionary that this was back in 1999, that we're already in the beginning of a healthcare crisis, and there was a great need for prevention and public health initiatives into fitness for older adults. And that moment meant a lot to me. I just felt this calling to go into this industry. It was like an immediate feel, like I just knew this is what I wanted to do. So I changed gears to some degree. And they had a human performance and health promotion department at the University of New Orleans, and I switched from pre-med to that, which carried over rather well because I was already taking a lot of anatomy and physiology. So I began to take those courses and the graduate program. And also they had a gerontology department there that had just started, that I was able to cross the disciplines. And I was one of the few students at that time that was really wanted to focus on exercise science with seniors, and also learning the issues of aging and the various important elements that one should know, and working with the aging population, from the psychology of aging to social issues with aging. And so that was a really good program, and I graduated from that, and I did an independent study on perceived barriers to physical activity in older adults at a community in New Orleans, and that's where I got my feet on the ground working with seniors, besides working at the Jewish Community Center in New Orleans, and as a personal trainer and leading they called it a mature adult circuit class, which really grew when I was there, because I was one of the few trainers that really wanted to specialize working with the senior population. So this area was such a new and growing field, and I was so thankful to be a part of it, now going 18 years ago. The place where I did my independent study, to go back to that, was a community called Lambeth House, which was my first experience working in what's called in the industry, we call them CCRCs, Continual Care Retirement Communities. They're now, that name's changed to more like life care communities. But basically, these community settings have an independent living portion of the community, and an assisted living for those that have more challenges performing activities of daily living, and then a skilled nursing unit. So all three branches of care. And I was hired at Lambeth House, which the executive director showed me the area that could become the wellness center, and it was in the arts and crafts room. So it was a very small space.
Wow.
The industry at that time really wasn't investing in wellness, but I mean, gosh, now most communities, you're not going to really survive unless you have a good wellness program. I really feel that way. It's a significant part of community life. So I converted the arts and crafts room into a fitness center, and started that program. And it really grew. Within a year or two, I had over half of the community participating in the wellness programs. And that was really an exciting moment for me, and a learning experience that then carried over to me coming here to Atlanta.
Wow, that's amazing. And so, Andrew, can you tell us what attracted you to Atlanta specifically, and can you tell us about that transition, how it was coming into Atlanta?
Well, as I said, I guess considering the type of work that I was doing, which in some ways was considered a little not a common thing for people to focus on. When I tell people working with seniors in fitness, they were like, "What are you going to do with that? Can you elaborate?" And in my career, it's been very sometimes even challenging to explain to people in a very brief few sentences what I do, because it's so broad. And New Orleans, though I love the city, I it's a small city, and you know, I lived there for most of my life. I've really felt excited about the idea of trying to get this message out to a larger audience, and Atlanta not being too far from New Orleans, and it's a beautiful city. I enjoy getting out running and exploring the city. I just felt that I wanted to just take this message and bring it to Atlanta and try to develop more of these programs. And, you know, at first it was a little bit of a challenge professionally, the adjustment and trying to do consulting work. And really, I like to be hands-on. I like to work directly with the population. Mm-hmm. So eventually I did get that opportunity with Presbyterian Homes of Georgia, which is, they have several communities in the Atlanta area. The timing was good there because they were opening up a wellness center at one of their communities in Buckhead. Mm. And I lived at that time in Midtown area, so it wasn't that far away. Mm-hmm. And then the opportunity arose here at Canterbury Court, which in my research, this community is a pioneer in Atlanta communities for seniors. It was the first CCRC in the city of Atlanta, established in 1962. Mm-hmm. And there was an expansion that occurred where they actually were going to have a good amount of space for wellness programming in an indoor pool. And I had the fortunate opportunity to take this position once they finished the expansion in 2005. And I've been here ever since. It's been a great opportunity for me to really spend a good quality of time working with people in this age spectrum and seeing how successful it can be if one adheres to programming and fitness for their physical needs.
Oh, that's wonderful, Andrew. And as far as Canterbury Court goes, can you tell the folks out there about roughly how many residents right now are there at Canterbury Court?
We have presently right now, I would think about 270 residents. Mm-hmm. I can't recall the last census, but typically anywhere from 260 to 270 residents. That's a good question. I ought to check into that.
There's a lot of, it's huge. I mean, it's really big. I mean, it's enormous.
Yeah, we're really spread out over 11 plus acres of land, mm-hmm. Which is wonderful. I think in a lot of ways, we have beautiful gardens in the back for walking. And for the residents, just to get around the community requires a lot of walking, but I tell them that's actually a good thing. Getting more steps in their day for their overall well-being.
That's true. So, that's good advice. And for the Wellness Center itself, Andrew, we talk a little bit about that. For the folks who aren't familiar with it, if they're interested with the Wellness Center, I guess take us through a virtual tour. What could they expect with the entire Wellness Center and the setup and the layout that's there?
Well, okay, virtual tour. I like that. That's an interesting way to try to. Well, basically, we have a lot of standard elements that you'd find in a wellness center. We have a fully equipped fitness room. Mm-hmm. The equipment is specialized more, catered more to the older adult population. We really are going to need and get more space because the popularity of the program, they didn't visualize that it would be so popular. Mm-hmm. We have the fitness room's about, my guess is 850 square feet. And there's other elements that you might not see in let's say LA Fitness. We have an area of the fitness room that has an elevated table to do supine, lying down exercises related to physical therapy and rehab and just general fitness. Mm-hmm. As we have some people in our community over the age of 85, some of them have a hard time getting on the floor. So I'm able to make sure that they maintain doing those exercises that are important for their spine, for their core strength, in that same setting that you would find in a gym with strength training equipment. It's specialized equipment. It's hydraulic, and it works very well for our community. the mean age of the people participating in that room is about 85. So this equipment is user friendly. There's more of an adherence to using the equipment. It's non-intimidating. And we also have such things as the new step, which is popular in industry for cardiovascular fitness. We have a couple of treadmills and recumbent bikes. So that's the one thing that they would see initially coming through. We have an aerobics room where we have programs like, for instance, regular chair exercise, to low impact aerobics where there are no chairs involved and residents are getting on the floor. Have lying down, that is on the floor. We have Tai Chi in there. We have chair yoga. We have regular yoga. And we just added Zumba Gold, which is a popular class that we have in the afternoon in there. So there's a multitude of group exercise activities in the aerobics room. And then as you go on, we have our indoor pool, which the temperature in there is a little warmer than you'd find in some pools. It's not on the level of Shepherd Center, though Shepherd Center only does it once a week. I hear that they get it up into the high 80s to low 90s. Our average water temperature in there is about 87 degrees, and the residents really like it that way. And the lap swimmers don't mind either. They feel they've gotten accustomed to it. So the pool's a little bit more designed for our population. There's a ramp that leads down to getting into the water. And we have about 9 to 10 aquatic exercise classes there a week. Anything from our power splash class, which is a little bit more advanced, where some of the residents get into deep water and it's a little bit more aerobically challenging, to classes just related to therapy, to doing pool, to gait training, walking across. That's an excellent functional exercise for seniors, and we push that program a lot in there for improving balance and strength. So, and then also we have I just finished leading a mindfulness group on just basic breathing and just techniques related to relaxing the mind and the body. And we actually do that in the movie theater because it's a very quiet place. So that's even a part of the wellness area. So it's somewhat unique, and I like that, the way our setup is. And I hope that gives you a good idea of besides outside, the walkways out there for walking that we do, and we try to promote that. I probably will be doing that rather soon, to have a little blog or something with the community about getting outside and walking. The pollen count's a little high right now. I'm actually feeling it somewhat, but we hope to get out there as often as we can.
Yeah, definitely, Andrew. You did a phenomenal job taking us through the virtual tour, and I think it's great. I think I mentioned that your fitness center is the first one that I saw those hydraulic machines. I'd never seen them before, or had experience using them, and I think it's wonderful the way they work because, like you said, they're so user-friendly, very intuitive, and it looks like the residents there really like them a lot, too.
Yes, I really have found in my work that equipment has been rather successful. I do find that in other settings with seniors, if you have a free weight stack piece that's got the pins and the adjustments, they're typically very heavy. It's hard for an 85-year-old person to make those adjustments.
Yes.
That this equipment is ideal for our purposes. And going forward, it's something I'll probably feel will always have that element. And there's other equipment out there that certainly I feel very good with, like Kaiser, for instance, is another good line for older adult fitness. Air resistance, that's a very good line. And but it is definitely, that's a very important element I've learned in doing this for over 20 years, is I've found that for someone to feel comfortable in the setting and not be intimidated by the things around them leads to consistency and more adherence to staying with the program.
Yeah, good point. It's all about keeping them motivated and getting them to do it. And like you said, you mentioned the classes that you have. That's tremendous that you have that available for them to come down and take. I encourage all the people there at Canterbury, if they're watching, to go do it if they're not, because it's right there. And I assume I think all those classes are included with their being tenants there, right?
Yes, it is. It's an amenity, yes. And we certainly the convenience of it being within it's in their home is ideal. We do have a good portion of our community utilizing the program on a daily basis, and we've had some great results from seeing the ones that really adhere and stick with the program and absolutely love it. It's a great place for camaraderie, to socialize. There's so many dimensions of wellness that they get in this area. It's almost like we're one big family down here.
Yeah, I sense that feeling too. And the Canterbury Court itself is just, as I mentioned, very friendly. The only challenge I had was trying to walk my way around and remember where my car was, because when I first got there, I was like, West Tower. But it's very, very friendly, and everyone there is very helpful, and being able to find everything. And in terms of, I was going to ask you, Andrew, with what do you find in your goals, let's say for the next year or 5 years, in terms of like goal settings, including, I know this is a fully loaded question, but like, for example, like the health fairs that you guys have, I didn't want to forget about that. I know you do like the health screenings. What do you foresee with that and with everything that's going on with growing in terms of the wellness programming?
Yeah, well, we just had a health fair last year that was quite a success. What made it so successful is that I really brought the community to get involved. I asked them to bring their talents to the table. The theme of our health fair was the 7 dimensions of wellness, which is a model that in my industry, the models for wellness has expanded over time. That it's all about whole person wellness, and not only the physical aspects of their life, like their fitness and their diet. It's about other important elements that we should be aware of and cheer on, like emotional well-being and how to cope with stress and losing, let's say, vision or hearing. So what we do here is we really want to emphasize that whole person, that person-centered care, and I want to be involved in helping one another to access all these dimensions of wellness in their life, that they're actively pursuing it. And at the health fair, that was a good opportunity to do it and promote it with other organizations in the city of Atlanta, other senior services in different branches, whether it is anything from music therapy to agencies that go and help seniors in need of additional, whether it's medical management, medicine management, all the different entities and the healthcare organizations out there to collaborate and develop partnerships, including our rehab team here of Genesis. The vision I like to see is that model continues to grow, the partnerships grow, even educationally with some of the university systems like Georgia State, whether it's having stimulating programs that are ideal for both, let's say, the resident and a student, or vice versa, residents participating in research projects related to trying to improve senior health. So I'd like to see that going forward in my work from more of a broad scale outside of our community walls. But within, there's always, we want to look to grow. We want to stay up to date with best practices. We want to be a pioneer ourselves in trying to do unique things that could be shared with the rest of the industry. So those are just some of the things I hope going forward that will be able to happen. And I think that what I love about Canterbury is we have leadership, we have a board, we have a lot of great people in this organization that would be just excited with me about these type of endeavors.
That's terrific, Andrew. So it seems like you know, a lot of goal setting going on, and it's very exciting right now to see what's going to happen in the next year or several years. And let me ask you this, Andrew. Another question I have working at Canterbury. In your, you know, gosh, career that you've been there for more than, I guess, what, 12, 13 some years or so, what have you found the most rewarding in terms of working either there or in this industry itself?
Well, I think probably one of the most rewarding things for me is developing such close relationships with so many wonderful, talented people. The residents here have had very successful lives. A lot of them are really determined to continue to maximize their life and do fulfilling things. So what's been a great pleasure for me staying here and being at this community is to see that, and from a model perspective of what works, to work with individuals for 12 years that are physically still doing things, are going at a level 10 years younger than where they are. Their scores, for instance, we have 90 residents in their 90s that have been coming. I've known them since the beginning. And they're still physically, functionally going very strongly and moving around like a teenager at 90. Wow. And that is a rewarding thing for me professionally, validating knowing that this can work. It can work if there's the commitment. And then the relationship building that I've had, it's been great. I feel like I have an extended family here. So I thoroughly enjoy that. I feel like it's a blessing to be in this industry. It was my calling, and it's going forward. There's a lot of exciting things ahead for us and the community as a whole. It's an important area that people need to focus on. Yeah,
certainly, no doubt. And you know, I guess it's pretty much it's never too late either, is it? Like for anybody to get started, no matter what age they're at, they could just come on in and just everyone's got a starting point. I like what you illustrated to the students when you on the whiteboard mentioned about rather than a declining, slow, kind of gradual, you know, atrophy and what have you, rather it be good to maintain, as you mentioned, and then just all of a sudden, whatever that day of death is for all of us, it's inevitable. But I like the way you said that, though. That's really,
live young, die fast. Yeah, that compression of morbidity is a significant objective in our programming here, and anything that I would ever do is that we live life to the fullest. And yes, then when it happens, it's quick. And that's, I think most people I speak to that I work with, that's what they want to do. So I'm like, well, let's get to work. Let's continue what we're doing.
Yeah, very well said. And Andrew, you'd mentioned, you know, it feeling like a family there at Canterbury. Let's ask you a personal question. How is it being a new dad, and how has life changed since then?
Oh, greatly. I mean, being a new dad has been amazing. I look at my son, and I'm just so like, I'm bringing him into this world, and I want to give him the best opportunities possible, and just give him lots of love and help him to grow and be a special person. And it's just a special time for me. I think being a father too has in some ways changed me, and where the way I look at things. It's just done a lot of great things for me. I mean, it's a good change. You know, I just want to just be the best father I can and continue to do my work that I'm doing. And it's just been very rewarding, fortunate.
Excellent. That's
very fortunate to have Xander and my wife, Jen, who also works in public health. Well, she's in the public health sector at the CDC. So I have a great family to go home to, and I have a family here, so I'm truly blessed.
You're lucky. You're a very lucky man. And if they're watching right now, Jen, Xander, we'll give them a little shout out, a little hello. Next video blog we do, we're going to have to bring them on and show them off. We'll ask Xander if maybe by that time he'll be like talking some baby talk. We'll see. Well, Andrew, this has been really a lot of fun, and I can't believe 30 minutes just went by that quickly. Let me ask you a few more questions, if you don't mind, before we let you get out of here. Let's plug Canterbury Court for a second. For anybody who wants to learn more, who's watching this video, and let's say they're in the Greater Atlanta or Buckhead area, and they're maybe thinking about this might be a good opportunity for their parents, their grandparents, or someone they know to come check it out and learn more. How can they find out about Canterbury Court, and how could they find out if they want to contact you directly too?
Sure. We have a very nice website which elaborates a little bit about our community and the history and the leadership. And I believe there are virtual tours on there.
Oh, there you go.
Of every area. And that could be, I think it's www.canterburycourt.com. Now, my email address is Andrew Wiltz at canterburyccrc.org. You can always just go to the website if you didn't get that and call and ask for me. I'd be more than happy to talk to anybody, and you could just reference that you saw this GoTarryn TV show and like to speak with me and or someone else in our community, and we welcome visitors.
Excellent, Andrew. That's very well said. And again, I've truly enjoyed talking to you, getting to know a little bit more about you. And again, just such a quick time here, 30 minutes, half hour just flew by really fast. And, a couple more things I wanted to tell you, Andrew, as we bring this to an end. And for the folks watching, we'll have that contact information on the screen here momentarily. But keep up the great work at Canterbury Court, Andrew. I'm excited, too, to see, and grow with you guys on your team. You never know what it could lead to with me maybe stepping in there and doing some other things that you never know. And I'm excited. And I want to say, too, you're a great leader. Not only professionally, but you're doing a great job for your son, Xander, to show by example. Because I think we're fortunate and lucky for those of us that are parents to be in the wellness and health industry because they have, us as examples to live a healthy lifestyle. And I have a bold prediction that I think once you retire and I'm retired, I think that Xander will be stepping in and assuming your role as the new director of wellness there. So you're prepping him, you're getting him ready, you're getting him set. So
I have the same things to say about you. It's really been a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you.
And you're a great role model to your sons and to anyone that you're working with, including the students. You got a great show here. And I'm excited about that in the future, and any time that we can work together going forward is definitely a plus to me as well. So we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Andrew. That's very well said and a great way. And folks watching, we will see you soon. We're going to fade to black, and here comes the contact information one more time. We'll see you, Andrew.
Okay, Taryn. Bye-bye.